To say that Europe is facing sustainable mobility issues is like saying that a volcano is somewhat hot. Many countries are working on innovative ideas to tackle this challenge. But if everyone is reinventing the wheel on his own, we're wasting time and money, even if it's a really nice wheel. Policymakers all over Europe are struggling with the same challenges, like sustainable mobility, innovation, economic development, and resource efficiency. Luckily, Europe has a solution that allows regional and local authorities to cooperate, a program called Interreg Europe. Instead of having to do it all on your own, you can learn from each other and bring this experience to your own region. The program can fund your project. Now we got your attention. So subscribe to our community to be inspired by what other regions have done in the past. Find project partners, build a project together and get funded. Let's share solutions for better regional policies.
Welcome to Europe Let's Cooperate Online. We are here to help you connect, network and work together with different regions from all over Europe. My name is Mia, I'm a communication officer here at Interreg Europe and I will be your host today. But in addition to myself, there's a whole team of colleagues helping you behind the scenes. But before we get to our colleagues, here you see Josephine, you see Petra and Raluca, who are from our communication unit. They will help you out on social media. We have Charo and Ilaria from our project team who will answer all your questions. Alexi from our finance team is also helping you. So, you have already posted some questions. We will start answering them as of right now, but throughout the session, you can send us any questions you have. Our team is on standby behind me, behind the wall, and they will answer all your questions. Besides that, you can also vote on the questions, like other people's questions, send comments, send suggestions, and we will also answer some of your questions live a little bit later today. Now, we have a hashtag, Europe Cooperates. Please let us know where you're watching this show. We are right now launching a poll. We have an online app for interaction called Slido. You can log into Slido with this hashtag. You will find the event. If you're following this stream on our website, you will even find Slido right next to the video. If you're following us on social media, go to Slido, look for the event with the hashtag Europe Cooperates and start answering the polls. As I said, the first poll is already live and we will be launching more later on, so keep Slido handy. Maybe open it on your phone, have it on the side of your screen, but make sure you participate because really this session is for you. Now, we had close to 700 people registered for this session and I saw that votes were already coming in, so please do take a moment to tick a box and let us know where you are right now. We thought that we would have participants from all over Europe and I hope that is the case. We will have a look at the results a little bit later, but first let me take you through our agenda. For today's session, for the next hour or so, we have 4 key parts. First, we're going to introduce Interreg Europe, our program, what it is about, how it works, and how you can benefit from it. We are very soon launching our 4th call for project proposals, and that is your chance to develop ideas, bring together people, and start working on a joint project. We will have a presentation that outlines everything you need to know about the call, so stay tuned, that's coming later. We also want to inspire you, so we will share a few examples. You will hear about our projects, what they are doing, what kind of activities we already fund, and hopefully that will inspire you to share your own ideas, because we will close the session with a few tips on the assistance that we provide for you, how we help you to work together with others, and then we will have a networking session online where you can meet all the other participants. But as said, Slido is already open. Go and tap in, start sending us your comment, and let's get started. If we have a look at the results right now, I see we have participants from many different countries. We have Spaniards, Italy, Finland, Belgium, Austria, France, Poland, and there's even more. I cannot even see all of them on the list. So a great list. Thank you all for joining us. We have a good show for you this morning, so stay tuned. And now, we will soon get to the 4th call. But before that, I just want to introduce our program in a bit more detail. Interreg Europe is all about bringing regions together to share experiences and share solutions and learn from each other. To see how that happens, let's watch a short video. We'll be back in the studio right after this. So enjoy the video and see you soon.
European regions and cities face a lot of common challenges, whether it is related to fostering innovation in businesses, or developing sustainable transport, or improving waste recycling. Interreg Europe is a program dedicated to improving regional development policies through exchange of experience. In particular, the objective is to improve structural fund programs in member states and in regions through the program financed through the EU cohesion policy. Through interregional cooperation projects, regions have the opportunity to exchange their experience on a shared issue and to improve their strategies and policies at local, regional, or even national levels. To understand how this works in practice, let's have a look at one of our running projects.
7 European partners with varied policy contexts have united their efforts to improve together the support that each region gives to social enterprises. This partnership will share experiences to enhance and influence governance and the business support policies to social enterprises in each region. The partnership will share knowledge and expertise to achieve a common goal. The first part of the expedition began in January 2017 and will last until June 2019. What are the stages of the expedition? 6 project meetings and study visits to social enterprises. 3 thematic workshops, regional stakeholders group meetings to involve relevant actors in the learning process, and the following outcomes: 6 regional study reports and 1 interregional analysis to map the social enterprises ecosystem in each region and identify barriers and needs. A good practices guide will also be made to collect the best regional examples, which will be used to elaborate on action plans. Each partner will present to its government their proposals for actions to improve the business support policies to social enterprises. From July 2019 to June 2021, there will be 2 years to monitor the implementation of these action plans. Social enterprises are a driving force for change and generate an impact on the territory, but we need to accompany them on this journey and give them all the support they need to succeed.
As reflected in the RAISE project, regions can really benefit from getting together and from exchanging their practices on the way a similar issue can be addressed in the different regions. But the exchange of experience is not enough. It has to be transformed into actions. So the regions also commit themselves to an action plan and to make sure they will implement in their regions the main lessons learned from the other regions. This is how interregional cooperation will finally benefit the whole territory and at the end of the day, all of us as citizens. Well, after having looked at this process, let's look at another example when you will see how regions can inspire each other.
What we are trying to do is to increase the digital activity in the region in order to have better socioeconomic development. The Erudite project in particular is helping us to see how we can direct investments in the country. In the case of Donegal, we are going to focus in the digital innovation hubs. These are points of presence where the digital activity is going to reach the community. In order to design these digital innovation hubs or the services that they are going to provide, several good practices coming from Erudite are going to be used. In particular, the Maker Lab from the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia is one of them, and also some experiences coming from smart work centers from France, from the Nièvre region. We are taking the good practices from other regions, but this requires a lot of adaptation. We are realizing, for example, that even the needs for a digital hub in one part of Donegal is different than the needs that in another part of Donegal. So adaptation is crucial. What we are doing is to work a lot with this open innovation approach with the final stakeholders in order to define the services. I think Erudite is only the beginning of a long trip where we can work with other regions to establish this network. At the moment, we already share some good practices through the policy learning platform, because we want also other regions to have access to the expertise or to the experience that we already have in the Erudite project. At the same time, we see in the policy learning platforms a really good source for us to get additional inspiration or knowledge that we can try to implement in our own regions.
So beyond the projects, the program has launched a policy learning platform. The idea is to open up the benefits and the knowledge of the program to all policymakers across Europe. The members of the community will have access to thematic knowledge, but they will also be able to join e-learning activities like chat, forums, discussions. Public authorities can also request peer reviews, or they can also apply to the help desk to get specific policy advice from the experts of the platform. Last but not least, the program offers a good practice database. The idea of this good practice database is to foster connection among practitioners of regional developments and in a way to become a source of inspiration for all policymakers in Europe that are looking for new solutions and new ideas to solve their regional problems and challenges.
Welcome back! I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope it helped you to understand what Interreg Europe is all about. You already met our head of projects and platforms unit, Nicolas Sanger, in the video, and he will be joining me very soon here on stage to tell you all you need to know about the fourth call. But before that, now I know where you come from, but I would also like to know a little bit more about what brought you here today. We have just opened another poll. This one is about your objective for today. In one word. You see that we already have some replies, but now is your chance to really tell us what you want to hear. What should we tell you? We see that people are coming in for information, learning, updates, clarification, and that all sounds very good to me because that's exactly what we're going to cover today. I will give you a little bit more time to feed in a few more replies. Feel free to answer because that's all important information for us and we will use it as we go further in today's program. As I said, while you are sending in your comments, keep using Slido for your questions and comments as well. And remember our hashtag, Europe Cooperates. You can share pictures on social media, tell us where you're following. And when you post something on Slido, please add also your name, maybe also the organization. Because first of all, it will make it much easier for us to address your questions personally. And second of all, once we get to the networking, it will be much easier for people to get in touch with you afterwards. If you have a great idea, but you post it as an anonymous participant, how is anybody ever going to find you? So please, add a name, use the hashtag, and start sharing. Now, the word cloud is going to be up for a few more minutes. I see we've got a few more replies, but still, information is what you are looking for. Let's give it to you. I will now ask my colleagues to close the poll. Thank you for all the replies and let's get to the information. I'm going to invite Nicolas Sanger to join me here. Nico, please come on stage.
Thank you, Mia.
And you will give us a brief overview of the fourth call, right?
That's right, yes.
Yes, and Nico will also close with some useful tips for anybody who's planning to apply, so make sure you follow until the end. See you soon, and Nico, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mia. So let's come now to the heart of this session, in a way, to speak about what the fourth call is about. So what I will propose you now is maybe to explain you what are the main features in this fourth call. And to do this, I propose to go through, let's say, 7 main points that will hopefully help you to understand better the expectations of the Interreg Europe program for this call. So let's get ready for this fourth call. And first I'd like to tackle what we could call the traditional features of the call. Nothing new in this regard, but for each of them I may try to give you some points of attention, some elements you need to take into consideration if you will apply in this call. And in a second step, for the last 4 remaining points, this is more the new elements, the innovative element of this call. So I'd like also to spend a bit more time on what is new compared to the past for this Interreg for C4 call. So if we go now to the first point, which is related to the topic, to the timing, sorry, of the call, there are two important things. Of course, it's the opening date, the 7th of May, so it's quite soon now, and the closing date. The opening date is important for you because it's the moment where you will be able to start completing your application. Our system, which is called the iOLF system, which allows to complete the application, will be open from that moment. The closing date is also very important, as you can imagine, and we insist on the time of closing because two applicants had a surprise last time at the last call. They thought the deadline was midnight on the date of the closure, but in fact it's midday Paris time. So be very careful, don't be surprised. You need to submit your application at the latest in the morning of the last day. Then you may think that this is a very short call indeed. This is in a way similar to the timing we proposed for the first and the second call, and it worked quite well. And you have to know that we are about to publish now the application pack. So this will allow you to work very quickly on the different features of the call and to start working on your application. What I would also say is that in terms of decision for this call, you have to know that you should not envisage to start before early 2019 because we expect a decision at the earliest by the end of the year. This is it for the timing. If we go now to the budget available, the budget available is quite comfortable because it's around 74 million euro ERDF which are left for you. And this is more or less the exact same amount that was approved in the third call, to give you an idea. On this slide you see a bit how much is remaining per investment priority. And you will see that the highest amount remains in the thematic objective 4, which is dedicated to low carbon economy. I'd like to highlight one point of attention for the budget available. This is important for us in a way for the back office to manage the program, but for you it should not be a major point, the budget available, because the assessors will not take this into consideration when they will do the quality assessment. Only the quality of your application will count. Because, as you saw, there's perhaps a bit less money available in thematic objective 1 on innovation. But if your application is good enough, it may be recommended and may be finally approved. It will then be up to the program and to, of course, the monitoring committee, the member states involved, to decide on possible reallocation among the different priority of the budget of the priority, sorry. If we go now to the next element, which is the thematic scope. I just told you that the budget is quite comfortable, so we are happy to confirm that we will have a full open call for the first call. So you see on the slide the 4 priorities that are open, the 4 priorities of the program: research and innovation, SME competitiveness, low carbon economy, and environment and resource efficiency. Again, I'd like to mention a point of attention about these different elements, is that you are coming rather late in a way in this programming period because we have already approved 184 projects. So what we would recommend the applicants in the fourth call is at least to check what exists already in Interreg Europe, what kind of projects were approved so far. And if you identify projects that are dealing with a very similar issue, a very similar interest from you, then we would advise you to try to distinguish yourself from these existing projects, either by better defining the issue you are tackling or proposing new partners that are not involved yet in the program. So this is what we called the added value of your proposal in comparison already to what exists in the program. If we go to the next point, so after the existing project, I'd like also to say, sorry, on the thematic scope, a last point for the thematic scope, is that you have to know that a certain number of issues are also encouraged because they are so far rather underrepresented in our program. We still have a few projects, but we would be happy to finance more projects in that domain. and you see that the three issues are identified on the screen. Water quality, renewable energy, and waste management are particularly encouraged in this fourth call. Let's go to now what is new in this call. I've just explained more or less what is traditional in the call. I'd like to insist now the last 4 points on what makes this call a bit special. The first one is that based on the experience we gained in the previous calls, we would like to try a few simplification measures. And the first one are related on the eligibility stage, which is a very formal first stage you will need to ensure to be assessed in the program. On these eligibility rules, we would like to simplify what we call the partner declaration. This declaration has to be submitted by all partners that are applying to the program. And in the past, this declaration was also specifying the exact amount of national contribution each partner will commit itself to. Now, unfortunately, this was a very high source of mistakes in the past, and it was very frustrating for applicants to be non-eligible because of a few euros difference in their amount. So we decided, the member states have decided to get rid of the exact amount. The partner declaration now just refer to the amount that is indicated in the application form. So we hope this would make the life also easier on your side and avoid a few mistakes at the eligibility check. Another improvement we will try also in this fourth call is that all compulsory annexes like the partner declaration or maybe the support letter you need to provide will be automatically generated by our system, the IOLF system, with several sections that will be automatically pre-filled by the system. We hope also this would help you to avoid a certain number of mistakes in the name of the partners, in the name of the policy instruments. So we really encourage you to use this tool available on IOLF. So this is a first point of simplification on eligibility. We have also tried to make your life easier in case you are approved for the implementation of the activities. And there is a real new element for the fourth call. I think it's one of the first times this will be tested in Interreg. We would like to develop a lump sum for the phase 2. As you know, each project has to be implemented in 2 phases. And the phase 2 is very much standardized. It's predefined by the program. That's the reason why we will propose to the partners to simply have a lump sum per action plan that they will monitor in the phase 2, per policy instrument that they will monitor. And this without having the need to report all the costs, certify all the costs. So as you see on the slide, there are 2 main benefits from these innovative measures. You don't need anymore to work with first level controls. The first level controls will only be done by the program, by the Joint Secretariat, and based on deliverables. And the second element, which also may simplify, I would say, your task now, is that you don't need to budget precisely the predefined activities of phase 2. This lump sum will be decided at the end of phase 1, again to facilitate your life while you're preparing an application. So we really hope these new measures will help you and will make your life easier. Now you know European programs, you have simplification, but yeah, you have sometimes also new rules. So I would like to introduce now a new requirement that will exist for the fourth call, which is related to the geographical coverage. We would really like to see an increased quality in the application submitted. And that's the reason why we have defined Europe a bit arbitrary. We have divided Europe in 4 zones, in 4 areas. And all the applications that will be submitted in the first call will have to ensure that their partners are at least based in 3 of these 4 areas to ensure a kind of pan-European wide geographical coverage. As you know, this is an important feature of Interreg Europe to ensure this wide geographical coverage. You may wonder why we introduce these new requirements. For your information, in all the applications we have assessed so far, around 700, one of the main requests weakness of this application is that very often the geographical coverage was unfortunately rather poor. Partners were working with their neighbor countries only and were not opening it up to other countries in Europe. So we want to avoid this, and this will also be taken into consideration during the quality assessment, because we have what we call in our jargon a knockout criteria. Even if you respect the 3 areas I've just mentioned, you also need to ensure that it's not only artificial. So you will need to ensure that then at least more than 80% of the partners involved or of the ERDF allocated goes beyond only one single area. When I mention area, in fact, I refer primarily to the transnational cooperation area, which is a nice reference in Europe because it exists. There's 15 transnational cooperation area in Europe, and we really would like you to go beyond this existing area. So this is what I wanted to say for the geographical coverage. What I would also like to mention is an element of, again, coming after 3 calls. You have to know that in this program at this stage, we have 48 NUTS2 regions that are not represented yet in the 184 running projects. So there is a call to try to involve these newcomers, these regions that have never been involved. And we published 1 week ago, I think, a news for you to have the precise list of this NUTS2 and to try to investigate, to look for partners maybe in this area. This list will also be annexed to the terms of reference, so you will have all the information needed with the terms of reference. This is mainly what I wanted to say for the geographical coverage. If we go now to the 6th point, which is an important one also, because it's a recurring question we receive in the program, is that you know that Interreg Europe is there primarily to contribute to the improvement of the structural funds during the 2014-2020 period. We are today in 2018, you may be approved early 2019. So a lot of applicants wonder, how do I do to influence programs that are already almost completely implemented, where a lot of money is committed? So we have added a paragraph of explanation, maybe of advice to the applicants directly in the terms of reference. One of the main messages for us is that please do not wait for the end of your project, and in particular for the end of phase 1, to achieve results, to transform the learning from the cooperation into actions. The lessons learned from the many projects we have financed in the last 15 years is that a lot of things happen even before you produce an action plan. You can get the fruits of the cooperation much earlier. So this becomes even more important, I would say, in this last call, that you should try to influence the policy as early as possible in the process. The second point I would like to highlight is that to finance new projects with additional funding is only one way you can improve your policies in your regions. But there are many other ways you can influence these policies. Even if all the money is allocated, you may influence the way the projects are monitored at the end, or you may influence the way the program is evaluated, for instance on innovation. Shall the region introduce new indicators to make the evaluation of the program more efficient? So you see on the management, on the governance of the program and of the policies, there are many possibilities also to influence these instruments. And the last point I'd like to mention is the fact that we are insisting very much on our focus on structural funds, ERDF and ESF operational programs. But at the end of the day, when you look at the rules of the program, it's only half of the public policies that the project has to improve that has to be related to ERDF and ESF. The other half is completely open. It can be related to the strategy of a city or of a department or county council or a regional ministry or national ministry sometimes. So don't be only stuck with structural funds. Up to now, you have to know that with our approved projects, 80% of the policy instruments that are addressed are structural funds. but there is a lot of other possibilities to influence any kind of instruments. The real message behind this is to tell you that please select the policy instrument that makes sense for your regions and on which you really have chance in a way to influence and to change. That would be our message for the results. Now, if I finished with the last point on what is new in this call, it's about, again, the timing of the call. You may know that by March 2023, we need to close all projects. So we are a bit bound with the time for this last call. And that's the reason why the partner states, the member states, have decided to shorten the phase 2 duration from 2 years to 1 year. And there's a lot of reasons behind this. I would only highlight the most important one, is that Interreg Europe is about capacity building, is about exchange of experience, is about finding new solutions to your problem in other regions. So the phase 1 is at the heart of what we are supposed to do. From that perspective, and even if I don't want to undermine the importance of phase 2 is a kind of luxury element. So that's the reason why we want to focus on what we are supposed to do, the phase 1, the policy learning, the interregional capacity building. And they will, the first call project will still have 1 year to see whether or not the fruits are coming in the regions, in particular from the implementation of their action plans. So this is mainly what I wanted to present you for these terms of reference and insisting in particular on the new elements. I'd like to conclude maybe with a few tips for you, a few tips for success. You will find anyway additional tips and presentation on this on our website. But the first one is certainly the most important by far. If you want to have a successful project, you need to ensure that you really start from the need, from the challenge in the region. Is it the traffic jams and the CO2 emissions in the regions or in the cities that you really need to reduce? Is it the very low innovative capacity of SMEs in the field of creative industry that you really want to improve? Is it things related, for instance, to biodiversity that is disappearing slowly in your natural parks, and you really need to find new solutions to that? You need to start from this need. And then, if you start from this need, in principle, you will take the learning seriously, the policy learning seriously, because the whole idea is to find new solutions to these challenges by exchanging with other regions in Europe. The two last things are related to be selective, be specific. And be selective is a bit provocative, especially if you are the lead applicant of the project you would like to submit. You may have to say no to some people, to some regions. We know it's not always easy to say no. But for sure, this program is primarily dedicated to policymakers, to public administration, to local and public authorities in Europe. And if you think the partners you have identified around the table around Europe are quite far from this rationale, from this philosophy, unfortunately, you may have to say, look, I prefer to have really the one that is the most relevant to the program. I prefer to have the policymakers on board. Similarly, for the geographical coverage, you may receive high interest from only a few countries, and the same countries which are the most represented in Interreg Europe. Again, you need to open up and ensure you have, as much as possible, a wide geographical coverage, mixing less and more advanced regions. This is an important criteria for the success. And the last element, which I mentioned, is being specific. You cannot imagine the number of projects we receive which remains a bit abstract, a bit general. They say, we're going to improve entrepreneurship policies, or we're going to improve low-carbon economy policies. This remains very broad. This is, of course, relevant to the program. But what makes a difference in the quality projects is the applicants that are able to say, well, this is much more specific than that. It's related to coal mining regions that have these very particular difficulties, and it's entrepreneurship in this area because it's much more complicated. So every time you can put flesh on the bone, you can be very specific. For us, this would be important, and this would be certainly appreciated by the evaluator and the assessors who will look at your application. So this is very quickly a few tips. I invite you now to ask any kind of questions you may have, of course, and we'll try, I think, to answer to some of them even now, if possible.
Yes, I will join you for the questions and answers part. Thank you, Nico, first of all, for the presentation. Participants asked for information. I think they got a lot of it, so it might take a while to sort of let it all sink in. But if you have any questions, we've already received some and we will start covering them now. Your questions, you can still keep sending them on Slido using our hashtag #EuropeCooperates. Keep sending them. The colleagues behind the stage will answer them or post them to us so that we can discuss them right here, right now. Let's get started. First question. We have here Isari60 asking, as we will be at the end of the current programming framework, would we have the possibility to influence the policy instruments of the next programming period?
Yes, this is a very good question, and it's also tackled more or less in the terms of reference. Is it possible to influence the future programming period? This is of course possible, but this should not be the primary objective of your project. At this stage, we cannot change the objective of Interreg Europe, so the objective will remain: how can I improve the existing policy instruments, and in particular the 2014-2020 period? If in the course of your projects you know more, because nobody knows at the moment what's going to happen after 2020, if you know more, if the programs are under preparation and you have an opportunity through the learning, through the cooperation to influence these future programming programs, that's great. But again, don't present this as a primary objective of your project. You need to work with what we know, what is existing, to increase the chance of results of the project.
Yeah, so start from the present, but of course you can think ahead and think about the future as well. But I think you also covered that in the presentation partially.
Yes,
so
indeed.
Start from your challenges and see what you can do about it now. Second question. Anna is asking, how can we know if the policy instrument is associated with the financial resources?
Well, usually if yourself you are the policy makers, meaning the organization responsible for the policy instrument, you will know immediately the different features and the characteristics of this policy instrument. Is it a law where there's no perhaps funding behind? Is it an operational program where of course there are funding behind, ERDF subvention or ESF? So I think Anna may not be the person in charge of the policy instrument directly. She should get in touch with the organization, with the ministry or the local authority that is in charge of this policy instrument to check exactly what are the characteristics of this policy instrument. And this is fundamental because from that she could know, is it possible or not to influence, to improve this policy instrument that she may address in the project.
Right. Right. I hope that Anna answers your question. If not, feel free to post a follow-up question and we will then either cover it by our colleagues or even ask, because Nico is going to be here with us for a few more minutes, so there's still time. I'm just going to remind you right now that we know that there was a lot of information in the presentation, a lot of dates, a lot of important points, some good tips and all that. You can find the presentation. It is available to you. We will share the link under the video. You will find it in Slido, and you will also find it on our event website. So you can always go back to the presentation and review it. Also, this session right now is being recorded, and as soon as we're done, you will have the recording available. So if you want to revisit the presentation and go through any of the points again, you can. And also, we will publish the application pack very soon, so there you will have all these details as well. For now, we do have some more questions as well, and keep sending them. I'm not saying that we're done yet. I have here one more from Olena. What types of organizations can be partners? Can they be not only local governments, like can universities, NGOs participate, or are there any restrictions?
Good question. I didn't tackle this, of course, in the presentation. When we have this kind of question, we always make a distinction between the legal aspect, who is eligible, as we call it, in terms of legal status, and who is a target group, in a way. So from the legal point of view, we have three kinds of possible organization. What we call the public bodies, so it's very easy to understand, local regional governments or national governments. We have bodies governed by public law. Usually you find there universities, chambers of commerce, agencies, environment institutes. All these organizations that don't have necessarily a public status, but work for public aim.
Yeah.
And we have a third status, which is new also in this programming period, which is called private non-profit organization. And this was to open up the program sometimes to cluster organization or to more private-oriented organization, but still they have to be for common interest. All the definition is available in a way in the program manual.
Yeah.
So this is a legal aspect who is eligible. So you see that universities are welcome and can apply. But again, I would repeat myself, in terms of rationale of Interreg Europe and what we are about, we attached very, very high importance on the organizations that are responsible for the policy that you would like to improve. And when I speak, for instance, of structural funds, it means that we are more than happy to see the managing authorities or the intermediate bodies, meaning the bodies responsible for the implementation of these structural funds. We are more than happy to see them directly involved in our projects.
Yeah, perfect. So really, in the end, our program is about policies, and of course other types of partners are welcome as well, but really there has to be the policy relevance. They have to be able to play a role in that context. I'm going to take one more question, and then I have a few more announcements for you. Daniel is asking, is it a problem to be part of several proposals? If somebody has a lot of good ideas, can you still apply?
Interesting question. There is no limit in the number of applications you can apply, but we are a bit picky and we check this internally with our statistics system. So it's nice that you make choice in a way, and that you do not maybe dilute yourself in so many applications. The message we would like to pass is that a good application for Interreg Europe is demanding. It requires time in the preparation. And based on this, we consider that, okay, you may manage to be involved in 1, 2 or 3, but beyond this, depending on the size of your organization, we become a bit careful, and there is a possibility in the application form, in the section B.2, to justify why you are involved in more than one application. So, to conclude, please do choices, select really the projects that match your needs, and if you are in more than one, we would strongly advise that you justify this directly in the application form.
Yeah. So to quickly summarize, it's really more about quality than quantity. Think about where you want to focus and then go with your best proposal. Yep. While Nico was presenting and while we've been answering your questions, we've also been running a poll, because this is all about the fourth call, and we were curious to know if you are planning to apply, or if we perhaps provided you the info you need to apply. If we take the results and have a look at how it seems, it looks really promising for us. Yes, for sure, we have 49 people who are already going to apply. That is nice. And we had more than 300, almost 400 replies. So that's already quite a group. But I still see that 43% of you are still hesitating, which probably means that you have questions or you're still wondering about this or that. Now is your chance. Post that question. Why are you hesitating? Let us know. We'll cover that now or later behind the scenes. Keep the hashtag in mind, keep posting your questions. I have here one more for Nico, and then we're going to move on to the next segment of this session. So, the last question is from P. Liravi. Are there minimum or maximum number of project partners? It's a little bit related to what we've already discussed, but yes. Going really into the consortium and who should be involved.
Of course. In the program manual, you will only find a recommendation. And the recommendation is that a reasonable partnership is between 5 to 10 partners. Again, you need to take this as a recommendation, so it's always possible to go beyond or to go below. What the experience has shown is that we don't have very small partnership. We don't have partnership with only 3 regions, although it's possible. So the right size, it's difficult to say, because it really depends, again, on your need, on how far you want to go with your partners. But the average we have, I think, so far in the 184 projects must be around 8 partners. And the important specification I would do also, we are speaking now in terms of number of partners, not number of regions. It can happen, we have a project, for instance, where each region is represented at the same time by its regional authority, the body in charge of the policy instrument, and another partner from the region, the Chambers of Commerce. So they both address the same policy instruments. So although you have only 5 regions, in total you have 10 partners, because all of these regions is represented by 2 partners.
Right. I hope that answers the question. So it depends again on the project. So you have to see what is the right number of partners for you. I know I said we were done with the questions, but this is the beauty of being live. You sent us some more good ones, and I cannot resist. I'm going to ask you one more. I think we have time for that. Carlo wants to know who can apply for a project, and this is important. How much are the grants for the project? How much funding is there?
Yes, of course, that's fundamental. At the end of the day, the money counts. So who can apply? In terms of I have defined legal status, who is eligible. In terms of leadership, the leadership is limited to the public bodies or body governed by public law. In other words, the private non-profit organization cannot become lead partner. That's a specification I want to say. Then in terms of funding, I would say that this program is very attractive because we have co-financing rate of 85% or 75%. 85% apply if you are public bodies or body governed by public law, while 75% is for the private non-profit organization. So all this, with the cost that you will have budgeted in this project, will constitute your ERDF subvention. And if you have a budget of 100 euro, you will receive from the program between 75 to 85 euro of ERDF to reimburse your cost. That's the reason why I say it's very incentive, because usually in a lot of programs, you are around 50% co-financing rate. You have to understand that in Interreg Europe, we are not financing investment, we are not financing implementation on the ground. It's really more for capacity building. And that's the reason why these rates are so high. We need to convince and motivate people in the public administration to stop a bit their normal work and to spend time with other people in Europe to find new solutions to their issues. Right. That can explain also why the rates are so important. Yeah. A last element that may be interesting for you, the recommendation for the total ERDF subvention in the manual, it's between 1 to 2 million. So you see that it's very broad. But the average ERDF subvention for projects so far is 1.6 million euro per project.
All right. Good. I think now we've covered the main basics. Now you have a lot of info, you got some detailed answers. Any additional questions, feel free to post. We still have the team right there answering all your questions, so keep sending them in. Right now, Nico, I'm going to thank you for being here.
Thank you,
for the presentation, for the answers, and we're going to move on to our next part. Because we had, in addition to the information that we wanted to give you, we had another goal for this event, and that was to let you network, let you meet other partners, let you be inspired by what is already happening. To do that, there's 2 more parts left before we go to the real networking session. First, I'm going to introduce one more project example. You already saw 2 in the video that we had in the very beginning, Raise and Erudite. And as Nico said, we already have 130 running projects. You can find them all on our website. We just approved 54 more, so very soon there will be more inspiration available. But right now, I'm going to focus on one. We're going to have a look at a project called Osiris. It brings together 7 partners from different parts of Europe working on social innovation. I'm going to show you a little video that summarizes what that project has achieved in only 1 year. And right after that video, we will have a live Q&A session with a very special guest, because we have Kimmo Rautanen from Osiris Project, the advisory partner, who will join us via Skype all the way from Finland for a little chat. So now for the technical questions. If you have more questions about the 4th call, send them in, colleagues will answer. If you want to know more about what it really is like to be in a project, start sending those in and we will discuss it with Kimmo after this video. See you soon.
Citizens who engage with the world are a cornerstone of today's society. Technological advances constantly provide new ways for the voices of everyday people to be heard. whether it is in influencing decisions or engaging in political issues. This movement can be harnessed through the principles of open social innovation, which could then, in turn, support the development of regions throughout Europe. And so, in the summer of 2016, the Osiris Interreg project started up with the stated aim of finding, developing and sharing the best ways to accomplish exactly this all around Europe.
From the first year of Osiris, it was really nice to see the good example of, for instance, Vandau, how they have a complete strategy, not only government but also the businesses, the schools, housing agencies, everybody's attending and working on their strategy. So that's really good, and we try to take that with us in our own plan.
This is something that the participants from Greece immediately found useful in their region of Western Achaea.
So we had several meetings with the mayor, and we presented him the good practice we saw in Fundao, and he was really interesting about this because they need to attract young people to their area in order to boost the local economy, and I think that we have paved the way in order to be implemented.
When the members of the Osiris project recently gathered in Lycksele, Sweden, their focus lay on the next 12 months, stepping up their game in order to generate more success stories throughout Europe. They heard presentations on good practice and new ideas and visited areas in the region where these ideas are being put to use. One such example is the Innovation Loop. Here, companies, organisations, startups and others are able to develop and pitch new products and services in front of investors and business angels. But the participants also get to contribute and share their own experiences with each other, a form of peer reviewing, in order to develop the regions even further.
It's a lot about gathering different kinds of experiences that the participants have of working with open social innovation, and I think putting these ideas into an action plan which will fit the context of Ostrobothnia and the characteristics of our innovation system.
From my point of view, I think the project is a success. Yeah, I think there's a lot to learn from each other, and I hope that participants from other countries will learn from us as well.
Through Osiris, these steps take all participants from good practices and peer reviews, through action plans, all the way to influencing how policy instruments are adapted and implemented throughout Europe. So, if involving citizens and all other stakeholders in the process of making the regions of Europe stronger is important to you, you are more than welcome to join us on our journey. Find out more about Osiris through this link. Let's evolve together.
Welcome back. I don't know about you, but for me, that is a very inspiring example of what you can do when you bring the right people together and are dedicated to your activities. While you were watching the video, I got a great announcement from my colleagues. There's almost 400 of you watching us live right now. That's quite a group, especially if you think about searching for partners or sharing your ideas or looking for additional inspiration or networking. So really, use this opportunity. Go to Slido, share your interest, take this chance. The group is there for you. We are here for you. So post your questions, post your comments. And now, as I promised, we have a very special guest for you. Kimmo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right, I can hear you as well. So, Kimmo is calling in from Finland, and as I said, he's the advisory partner of Osiris project. If you have any questions for him, you can send them now. Is there something that you want to know about how projects work, or how it works with, I don't know, collaborating with your stakeholders, or how you put together an application? Let us know. In the meantime, Kimmo, I have one question for you. I know that this video sort of summarizes 1 year of project activities, but since we're today talking about a new call for project proposals and new applications, I would like to know a little bit more about how you got to where you are now. Can you take us through the application process? I mean, how did you find your partners? What was the initial challenge, and how did it work?
Well, Osiris as a project started out with Region Västerbotten, the lead partner, taken an active role in regional development, and they have developed a model of their own. They were looking for good examples and collaboration across Europe, because many of the challenges that we face are quite similar, though we are in different parts of the continent. And the other Finnish partner from Ostrobothnia, the regional council, has a long tradition of working with Swedish neighbors, so it was quite natural that they got together with Region Västerbotten, and at the same time, through different meetings, different contacts, a number of partners all around Europe, from all corners of Europe, you might say, were enrolled. And our role, Åbo Akademi University, as a associate partner, was because we have in turn been working with the Regional Council of Ostrobothnia in building regional innovation systems in communication matters, and we had made a proposition about using storytelling to communicate abstract matters as policy development in plain text, and that's how we got involved.
All right, but that's very interesting, in fact, because I know that we talk about policy improvement, we talk about regional policies and all that. It's often very, very abstract. So the storytelling approach really is very interesting. And also I like the fact how you highlighted the important role of the lead partner. So really, you know, there has to be somebody driving the process. You have to start with one idea, look at your own context, see what else you might need to sort of develop that into a bigger project. So also for that, I think it's a very good example for anybody thinking about applying for a project or setting up a group to develop a proposal. I wanted to also know that since this video, because I know that it was actually made already a little while ago, what has happened since and what's now in the pipeline for Osiris? What are the next steps?
Since the video was made, we are almost through phase one, so we have one more. There have been co-creation workshops in all seven regions, bar one, and the last workshop will be now in May. And so now for phase one, we're kind of working on the action plans, the regional action plans right now. So it's a phase of mostly thinking, analyzing, writing, summarizing what we've been doing up to now. And in September, we will have the documentation ready to be implemented in phase two, which starts in October.
And will you have some sort of bigger dissemination event or some sort of open event if people are interested to know more? Because I think it's a very interesting project and it could be as such already of interest for some of our viewers today. So is there some way to find out more information about your activities?
We will be making some kind of event in September to summarize what we've done. We're also producing new videos, and of course the material will be made available. We have the series of voices of stakeholders that explain the process from the viewpoints of the users, of citizens, of different actors that have been involved in the regional events, which kind of lead up to the summarizing that we will be working on, so that by September we should be able to present something.
And this is actually a very good tip, because go and check out the Osiris website. You will find all the info there, the dates for their events, and also the series of the stakeholder videos. That's a very interesting sort of look behind the scenes, and it helps you to understand how these projects actually work and what kind of people are involved. So I really recommend that, so go and check it out. Now, going back to the fourth call mode and project development, since, you know, as an advisory partner and you've been involved in a project that has already been running for quite some time and so on, would you have any tips or recommendations that you would like to share with someone who's just getting started in this project journey?
It's always, of course, good to start out from checking with people and organizations you are familiar with, because one of the main rationales, I believe, for corporations to exchange experiences and build trust. So it's good if you have somebody you can lean on at the start. And another important point, which I think is, especially when you deal with abstract matters, is the same point that we have been trying to work on in the project communication. You need to be able to tell who you are, what you're doing, and what you want to do in a plain and simple enough manner, an engaging manner, to make sure that other people who may be thinking of similar ideas kind of can look beyond the project jargon that easily can be seen, especially in written documents.
I think that's a great tip, Thank you, Kimmo, for that, and thank you for the little chat. I think we're again going to move on to our next part, so thank you for joining us. And for the rest of you, I just want to go back to what Kimmo just said. Turn your ideas into plain English. Explain it in a simple manner. And you don't even need to wait for very long. You can start sharing now. Because after this session, we will have a networking happy chat hour. We have, in addition to the general Europe Cooperates room on Slido, 4 thematic rooms, 1 for each of the program topics. So we have 1 for research and innovation, another one for SME competitiveness, 1 for low carbon economy, and 1 for environment and resource efficiency. You can log into any of these rooms. You have a little menu on the top of the Slido window and change the room. And there you can share these ideas. Explain what you're doing, explain what you're interested in. Remember to add your name, maybe your contact info, and let others find you. Also, the idea of starting with your own partners is a very, very good tip. See what is already there around you. But remember, Interreg Europe, we cover the whole of Europe. So you don't need to be restricted to your nearby neighbors. You can really broaden your scope and see where would be interesting examples or what you can learn from partners completely in the other side of the continent. The whole Europe is open. Now, we are getting close to the end of this session. We have one more part for you. For this part, we're going to launch one more poll. If you haven't participated in any of the polls or sent any questions until now is your chance. This one is going to be about assistance, because as I said in the very beginning, we are here to help you. Not only today, but throughout your project journey. We help you to develop your ideas into proposals. We help you to get started with the project. We guide you through the project journey, and we also help you after the project. Now, I know that some of you have already applied for a project. Some of you might already be in a project. So you can tell us which of the services you've already used. And if you have some tips like Kimmo just did, you can also share that with the other participants on Slido. Now, if we go back to the poll and get the results on the screen so that you all can see it, you see that there's a few different options. And I know that if you're just considering to apply, these might not all be very self-evident for you. So let me walk you through it. I see that you're already answering. Keep answering. I'm going to take the 2 first. So, partner search and feedback. We have a lot of online tools available for you on our website. If you're looking for ideas, if you're looking for partners, if you're looking for inspiration, interregeurope.eu is the place to start. You have there a search tool that helps you to look through our community members, of which we have 13,000, by the way, so not a small group. And those of you who registered for this session are already members as well. So go there, fill in your profile, and look for others with similar interests. You can also post your project idea. We have an online system where you can search for different project ideas. And please note that this is a completely open service. So we don't monitor, we don't filter the proposals. You can send in your idea and let others find you. Again, it's very important to fill in your contact details so that the others can get in touch with you. Now, once you have submitted your project idea, we have a few more tools that could be very, very handy to you. One is a self-assessment tool. This is completely online. It's a series of simple questions where you have yes or no answers. You work your way through the list, answer each of the questions, and it tells you if you've come to the right place, if your project fits our program. If you get a green light, if your idea fits, if you've already sent it in, if you have already a sort of draft or an abstract template, you can send it in for us for individual detailed feedback. That is perhaps what has been the most appreciated by the previous project applicant. Because once you have an idea, you might not be sure if you're going in the right direction. You might hesitate how to finalize it. Send it to us. We'll look at it together. We'll give you feedback. It can be either a written feedback, Skype call, phone call, or we'll meet you in one of our events. So these tools are available online. Now, if we go back to the list and see what you have used so far. Partner search seems to be of great interest for you, and I can understand it. This is a networking event. If you want to continue online and if you have more questions, if you want to get more information, please note that we do more than just Europe Let's Cooperate online. We have regular webinars. If you're planning to apply for the fourth call, we will have a week of lead applicant webinars in May. That will be on different topics and it will take you through all the details and the technicalities of getting your proposal ready. In addition to that, you saw that we covered some questions today and we're still covering them, by the way, so keep sending in more if you have any. We have weekly Q&A sessions online as webinars when the call is running. The call will open in May and you can always, every Friday when the webinar takes place, log in, attend the webinar, ask your questions and have them answered live. It's also very good to attend these sessions because in addition to the Q&A, there's always some sort of handy tips or useful information or other really valuable little bits of information that you don't want to miss. So I recommend you to check all those out. You can find the dates for these once they're published on our website. You can also register through our website. So really, interregeurope.eu is the place to start. Now, let's have one more look at the results. It seems good. What we don't see from here is whether you've already used these or if you're just planning to use them. But I just want to repeat, every single one of these is free, available to you. It's there for you to make use of it. So I really recommend that you check our website, check our apply page, check the info we provide to our applicants, and make the most of these services to make sure that you develop a successful project proposal. And with that, we close our session here. Now, what happens next is you take the spotlight. We will open the chat rooms for each of the 4 topics I just mentioned. Go to Slido, start chatting, start sharing your ideas. Think of it as a virtual coffee break. You know, when you go to a conference, usually the best discussions happen in the corridor during the coffee breaks. Well, this is that. Tell us what you learned, share any questions, share your ideas, find partners, and above all, have fun, because that's what it's all about. We will keep the chat rooms open until next week, Tuesday, the 17th of April. So even if you don't have time to stay now and have a chat or get involved in the discussion, you can always log in back later in the next few days to see what is there and review the discussions. As I said, we have been live from Lille, France. This session has been recorded. It will very soon be available for you to review. Thank you for being part of Europe Let's Cooperate Online. Now go, network, and have fun. Thank you.